unstable at the moment, and it never does that.
Everything is unstable at the moment.
Everything is unstable. Oh my god. I've started the stream.
Okay.
Yeah, Ash is here. Ash, straight away. She's here.
Hi, Ash.
Oh my god. Hi, Ash. How you going?
How you doing?
In a staff meeting, but will join shortly. That's what I'm talking about. That is like dedication. Like, there's Ash, awesome. Honestly, the only time Ash is not here is literally if she's got actual work to do, but she'd still have it on in the background. Or like, I don't know, a family member died or something. Like, she's that committed to the cause. Yeah, she's just dedicated. I love it. Yeah, same.
I love it. I reckon we'll do, when a few more people come on, we'll just do an intro that so then we'll just say, you know, the final segment of our season 1 and be killing it.
Yeah. Ash with the subby, 17-month subby.
Ooh, 17 months.
Yeah, I've got to do my... Ash, remind me later on. I've got to get you to design a couple of new subby badges for me. The 18-month and the 2 years. God, that's gone so quick. Because my friend that did the subby badges, she can't do it at the moment. So, yes, can do. Awesome. What up, Zoe? Nice to see you here. How are you? We're just
Hi, Zoe.
Wait for some people to arrive, and then we will get stuck into
it. I could pause the recording while we wait for more people.
Well, it just means that who usually edits it? Who's editing at the moment?
Locke.
It's still Locke. It just means Locke has to listen to all the bullshit before actually.
Sorry, Locke. We love you, Locke.
We love you, Locke. The thing that I love about Locke the most is that he posts the best like chocolates and lollies and treats and stuff. He's got a real sweet tooth like me. So it's always like, I'm trying to be off sugar at the moment, but it's hard when Lockie's posting. The one that he posted this morning that I replied to. What up, 80? Nice to see you here. The one he replied to, I just replied to it. The bullets and raspberry white chocolate.
Yeah. He's all over
like it's the block of chocolate, not just the normal one that you get in the. I was like, hell yeah.
I know. I still keep thinking about those donuts you got, those croissants.
The cronut. Oh my god.
I keep revisiting those in my head.
The problem with that is that they like only deliver at the moment, and they only deliver to specific suburbs. Like, so they do a call out and they're like, we're in your suburb. You know, at this
order, and it costs you $70.
It cost me $70. Yeah,
that's part of our highlights.
It was worth every dollar of the $70. It was like I think I had, how many did I get? 5, maybe 5. I mean, they were extremely expensive. However, it really brightened up my lockdown. So
that's good. Okay, that's going in there. All right. You let us know.
Started? Yeah,
should we go for it?
I'm sure more people will join later on, so it's fine.
Okay. All right. So, hi everyone.
Hi everyone.
Welcome to the final episode of. We still haven't got it. Shoot. Welcome to.
Do that again.
Okay, take 2. Welcome
to
the final episode of season 1 of You're
Killing It.
And you all are. So are we.
You're all killing it. I must say, I'm going to say this at the start of the episode this time, because last time we did this, I didn't, and it wouldn't have made any sense to the people listening of the podcast. But we're also live on Twitch at the moment, so welcome to my community. I just saw Benny joined, Ash is here, Zoe's here, 80's here. What up, guys? Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us today. Benny said, I'm fucking here. Yes, you are, mate. You are here, and it's always better. It's always better when you're here.
Yeah,
Thanks
we love having you here. You guys and girls are killing it, and I would also like to say who is not killing it, and that is Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg.
Facebook, absolutely. Facebook is. Zoe just mentioned before. I'm good now. I didn't wake up to being able to check my social media, so it felt weird. This this is exactly what we want to talk about this morning. It's so topical,
Yes.
but we all woke up to this morning
not having access to our own data or our own shit. Like,
it was so interesting because there was talk about, so just for those who don't know, I'm assuming if you've been living under a rock, you would know.
Let's read this quick headline.
Yeah, you can read the headline. Go.
Okay, Facebook loses billions as app crash. Whistleblower opens fire. As apps crash, whistleblower opens fire. Facebook hemorrhaged billions on Wall Street overnight after the company suffered a major tech stuff up, which saw its Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram apps go down. CEO Mark Zuckerberg lost $8.2 billion in a matter of hours as the stock crashed. While the apps are back up and running now, yes, it wasn't the only thing weighing on the Silicon Valley giant in the US session. There's also a lot of scrutiny after whistleblower appeared on the US 60 Minutes, slamming Facebook for tearing society apart. Ooh,
yes. So this is the controversy this morning. So I spoke to Glow this morning, my dear friend who Twitch community will know Glow. He's saying basically, wasn't it convenient that the day after the whistleblower appeared on 60 Minutes, and also they were on the project last night, or she was on the project last night. He was saying, well, nobody's talking about that now because they're only talking about this. So he was like,
That's interesting.
Interesting timing.
That is a very costly cover-up, isn't it? If you're trying to cover up something.
It is. But also, what's going to be the cost if people really start looking into what this whistleblower is saying? Basically, that Facebook has ruled the fabric of our society. It started wars. It started all the instability that we're feeling at the moment. And to be honest, she has a pretty valid point, and she was in there trying to sort this out. Like, she kind of, I think the story was that she was seeing how detrimental it was with her family members and people just getting ripped apart, so she decided to work there to try and do something. But it was part of the money making machine. Like, that's how they make money, is to divide us. So in the end of the day, she kind of left and was like, what's the point? So we woke up this morning and everything's down, and it's so interesting. Like, my first reaction was, this is actually a good thing. I was like, if this is actually, if this is gone for good, this is actually a good thing. I think it would actually be really positive, especially Instagram, man. Like, I mean, I'm not on Facebook as much anymore because I do feel like it's so toxic. Do you find Instagram as detrimental to mental health as I do? I just really don't find it very enjoyable anymore.
Yeah, I think the fun's definitely being taken out of it for people because it's being used as such a business and marketing tool now. Like, I mean, I remember when I first joined, I literally joined like when Instagram first came out. Like, I think it was like 2010 or something.
Yeah, it was.
And and I just remember being like, hey, this is cool, and posting a few pictures and not even understanding what I was meant to do. And then and I remember like my first kind of instances of like connecting with this amazing like classic car dude over in Utah, which is so bizarre, being like, oh my gosh, I'm connected with some dude over the other side of the world who's posting cool classic cars. I love his cars so much, and he liked my music stuff, and we ended up like sending each other decals, like stickers, and I was like, whoa, it was my first experience of like the realization of connecting with someone you didn't know overseas and being able to trade something cool off the back of your creative work. So that for me, I was like, that was so cool. Yeah. But now I think it's just becoming so oversaturated. There is so much content up for consumption that people are just
but
like...
It's not just content. This is what I hate about it. It's just an ad, like a constant ad. You just fed stuff to buy, and it never used to be like that. It literally was a photo sharing app, which is I joined it before I was a photographer, so I was posting photos that I thought were cool as photos before I was a photographer. You can actually go back and scroll. I've got every photo that I've ever taken, and they're absolutely tragic. It's pretty funny. But I kind of like that too. It's like the progression of my entire career is on that platform from the moment I picked up a camera, which is like a year after that came into fruition. And to see that now, it's like you're constantly just clicking past ads that obviously have been curated for you, and it's just constantly, and to be honest, you get sucked in so often because it's like they know you so well, so you're like, absolutely I need that new pair of shoes because I'm an absolute sneaker whore. So
so what do people think? I mean, your whole portfolio, it's your professional portfolio for people to have a look at. I know you've got your work on other things, but like people have geared their profiles in that. What would you do if you did lose it and it didn't?
I would be fine. Honestly, yes, I've got a huge audience on there as well, but like I don't think it would affect me personally because I have diversified across a lot of platforms. I've got big audiences on a lot of platforms. I feel sorry for people who really put into Instagram and nothing else, like especially photographers, because it is the first place people go now rather than your website. So there is that aspect to it. Ash just wrote, oh my God, the shop being moved down to the bottom navigation was a huge move, really showed that it was moving in that direction, which is so true. It just became about this just constant, you trying to buy shit, which really
it's a
took
shopping
away.
platform.
It took away the joy of what it was for. And a lot of photographers, to be honest, I know a lot of photographers have moved off it recently. A lot of people have jumped onto Twitter, which is not traditionally a photo sharing platform. It's really, really changed I would say in the last year. A lot of photographers
same with LinkedIn.
A lot of photographers have jumped on Twitter, and a lot of NFT photographers specifically are on Twitter as well. So so LinkedIn, that's a good example as well. So we said I think people will suffer more with the loss of Instagram than any other social media. Okay, how do you feel about this? Because I had this discussion in my Discord this morning. Do you think people would suffer more or benefit more overall, like zooming out, if you lost Instagram?
Oh, it's such a hard one to know, because I guess it's subjective. Because it's subjective in a lot of ways, because it's like suffer more. So maybe people would benefit more in terms of being able to remove some of the noise and friction out of their heads. It could be better for your mental health. It's giving yourself digital detax, a way to remove and like reset. But also there's some, avenues there where people's whole livelihoods are on there, and that's their CRM, or that's their portfolios. And so therefore, essentially losing that stuff means that your business loses a lot of traction, audience, data, all that sort of stuff. So that could be very, very, very detrimental for a lot of people, and in turn their mental health and financial status. But so I think it's two sides to the coin. But I also think that there is just so many different platforms, so many different avenues of doing this, and the Instagram's kind of it's getting a little old now anyway. Like TikTok's the place to be. All the data is suggesting that people, especially young people, this is actually what made me get onto TikTok, like whenever it was 6 months ago, was that all of the audience between 12 and 22 are actually leaving Instagram. They're going to TikTok. So as soon as that starts to happen, the platform's dying. The other thing is, I think Instagram's probably been the most detrimental platform for specifically young female mental health, and there's like really, really good data on this. A big spike in especially self-harm with young female, especially teenagers, from I guess the time that both the smartphone and Instagram started to be in existence, I guess. So it's just that comparison for young teens, especially young teen girls, and this is not just girls, because I think we're really starting to see this flip now. It's really happening to young boys as well, but that comparison specifically with body image, how beautiful you are, all that sort of stuff is super detrimental to mental health, and that I personally think if it was gone forever, it would have a benefit. But I totally understand from a business perspective, like you were saying. There's so many people that it would really suck for. But I think there's so many other platforms. Like humans are so adaptable. Like you jump on the next thing, whether it's TikTok or Yeah, which is, I think there's some good takeaways from that for all of you online who are listening now about, your business and your creative work and the way that you connect with people should not just be a profile, a digital profile. And it should be more than that. It should be the relationships that you're building in real life as well. It should be also thinking about, how can I think forwardly about where I'm putting my stuff, what I'm doing with my data, and not to get comfortable and actually rely on specifically one platform, because the reality is you don't own your data on there, and they can take it away from you whenever you want. So, distributing, and distributing your work, distributing your strategy, your connections across multiple platforms. Like for us this morning, apart from like us being able to do anything on our Insta, which we don't go hard on Insta anyway, right, Mish? Because it's like we use Apple Podcasts, Acast, and Spotify to distribute our content, which is our podcast. But other than that, I woke up this morning, our well-beings was able to function across Slack, LinkedIn, other video calling, things that we can use outside of the Messenger and stuff like that. So, emails, all that sort of stuff, Google Drives to store things, Dropbox, like all of those things were still there. And
where the big thing was, like I messaged Jarvis this morning when Facebook was back up, and I said, we need to download all of our photos that are on Facebook, because there's actually a period of time, and people that have been on Facebook since the start will appreciate this. There's a period of time that I think everyone's life is documented, and it's only on Facebook. And it's from about 2009 or 2008 till a couple of years ago, not so much now. But there's probably a 10-year block of time that's like only on Facebook for, I would say, our generation of people, but that's where they were uploading photos. So it's like trying to get those off, because if Facebook ever goes down, that's the only record you have of your life.
I know, and I just go through and untag all of those gruesome haircuts and stuff. Mind you, I just shared them again.
I retag them all. We had some great feedback though. Liam, Lord Media, said if Instagram disappears, a new platform would appear within a few days, which I totally agree. I think that would be that would be the case. Ash said, yes, 100% more accessible to comparing yourself. The overnight success feeling that you get from people on Instagram can be so easy to see. That's really true. Yes. Like, people only see the wins, and that can also be really hard if you're an up-and-coming creative, and all you're seeing is people posting their wins. They're not posting the struggle. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not posting the years and years and years where you weren't visible, that you weren't getting these wins, so that you just think that you're meant to be at that level now, which is not how it works.
Like, oh, did you see these new people that just popped up? Like, this new business. It's like, wow, actually they've been slogging away from their bedrooms, for like the last 15 years.
Yeah, you're just seeing these.
Yeah, the comparison is absolutely shocking.
Benny said, don't worry, I found one of MGH's old photos. Benny, what photo did you find? What? Benny does have me on Facebook, so he could 100% be stalking my very old photos from like 2007. So
Benny is all over it. But so, I mean, we're all back up again. We've got, that's been an interesting 24 hours not having access to that stuff. I put my phone down last night. I literally was like, okay, detox time. I put my phone on do not disturb or airplane mode when I go to bed as well, because I'm just like, nah, I don't let the world in until I'm ready to let the world in. But so I didn't actually realize until quite later on, like after I'd been to the gym this morning, that, ooh, crap, I could not be able to contact people through these platforms. But it does make you think, about your data and about where you're storing your information, how you're connecting with people. If you're relying solely on Facebook, Messenger, and WhatsApp to message your loved ones, and that's another thing to think about. We also, I mean, how many episodes have we done, MGH? This is 12, I think.
No, this is 12, yeah.
And we've had
we've had 10 guests. So this is like, we wanted to have 10 guests for our first season. We were like, let's just do a season, see what happens, see how people are responding. And it's been really great, hasn't it? The response has been really great. We've been like so overwhelmingly excited about the response and the messages and stuff that we've been getting.
Yeah, and we want to thank everyone for, sending us those messages and rating us on Apple. For those of you who've written those reviews, thank you.
Oh, yes,
and,
yes.
We also wanted to go live on Twitch today to chat about some of the highlights in the season, and also, let's ask our peeps on here what you could, how do you picture season 2 for you?
Yes,
what do you want to hear? What
exactly.
do you want to see?
Exactly. And anyone in the Twitch stream that's listened to the podcast, feel free to chuck in your feedback as well, because I know some of you have listened to the podcast and have been great supporters of it as well. So
yes, and we thank you for that.
Yeah. We just appreciate all of the listens. And Ash is saying she loves the potty. Ash is so awesome.
Thanks, Ash. You're the best.
But feedback on what you liked, what worked really well, what guests that you would like to see us have as well would be cool.
Yes. And also, feedback of like, stop saying 50 million times. I say
have my own feedback of that.
All the time.
I am the worst.
Yes. And I wonder if people want us to get You're Killing It announcement on time. Is that a thing?
Can we get, I don't know how, because there's a delay that's so weird for us to get it. I think it's worse.
No.
I think it's funnier us not getting it on time, but.
Well, we think it's, at the time, we think it's happening. We did have a few recommendations of things that people wanted to see. So one was an interesting one that somebody shared about when you're an artist, how do you balance a kind of persona versus your actual self? Like it's a brand, right? So if you're being your true self when you're creating your art, how?
That's such a good question.
Yes, it's a really, really good one. How do you balance?
Like I've balanced a pretty great persona of being way more of a hard ass than I actually am.
I reckon you do that well too, Mishy.
It's an absolute facade of me being this absolute tough bitch, and I'm so far from actually being that. I'm like the biggest. Like people that know me really well know that I'll just like cry at the drop of the hat. I'm like super emotional.
It just depends too. It's like sometimes. Like in instances, like I can crumble if it's someone I care about. That's like
totally.
Being a dick.
It's when you care. Yeah, but I think I can be extremely assertive, and I think that's what they refer to when they're like. I guess when I know that I'm in the right in any type of situation, I'm happy to stand up for myself, and like I'm very comfortable asserting myself in situations that others might be a little bit like, or maybe that person won't hire me or whatever. It's like, but I know that I'm in the right, so I'm gonna stand up for what I believe.
Stand by that, backing yourself.
Especially when it comes to like copyright or fees or anything like that. I'm not afraid to, not in a bitchy way, just be like, this is how it is,
Yeah. What's your stance on pulling the fingers at people when you're driving?
Oh my god.
Segue. I was just going to say that's one of the things I'm definitely not doing in season 2 is saying segue every 2 minutes. Segue. You know my segues as well. You've got me sussed.
I do. I have got you sussed.
What is your who do you?
I'm torn on this because I did go through a period of time where I used to get a little bit of road rage, and I would do stuff like that, like stick my fingers up or whatever. And Jarvis used to say to me, don't ever do that when I'm not in the car, because some psycho could literally come for you and then you're screwed, which is completely
it's very true. Yeah, it's true.
And I don't do it. I'm a super chill driver now. I'm like, we've got a really massive Land Rover, and I feel like it's kind of obnoxious, and I can just kind of, you're just sitting in your, quite high in your car, and you're kind of pulling the finger with that car anyway.
Because you're like,
need to do it.
Get out of my way, bitch.
Get out of my way, bitch. I've got this soccer mum car. Catch you later. It's a bit like that.
Oh, this is what I was thinking as well, because I had a bit of rage yesterday. Yesterday was a stink day.
A stinker of a day.
Stinker.
Oh my god, wait, Ash just said, this is so funny. Ash just said, I've heard horror stories of people doing that on the way to an interview. And then in the interview room, you're in the interview room with the person that you stuck up the fingers to. That's funny.
That's amazing. That's definitely, I learned my lesson pretty young. I did something a little bit similar with I'm not going to go into that story, but I was pretty young and I did that, and it definitely came back to bite me in the ass, and it was my boss's daughter that I didn't know.
Shit.
Anyway, but yeah, it was funny, like, talking about your cars and what we were laughing about before. So I have Murphy, my shitty van, which I love. Murphy is a 1991 Toyota Hiace, and it is definitely high because I can stand up in Murphy, and like you can move around in it. And I'm converting Murphy into a camper. So it's got no
cute.
Yeah. Cute. So it's got no seats in the back. It's super like rugged. It's got my favorite Mexican blanket in the back that like hangs, which the ride, the little lawnmower, how I was telling you, the lawnmower, I had it on the grass and the lawnmower ate over it. The electric lawnmower thing, self-driving lawnmower. Anyway, I've got that. I've got that in the back of the van.
That's so funny.
And the van is slow. It's like driving a massive wardrobe around. And I find that people, sure, they might get a little bit annoyed and they want to pass me, but nobody is like super, super rude when I'm in Murphy. And when I'm in Murphy, I'll always go either the speed limit or maybe 5K over. And that's cool, no worries. Anyway, I ended up getting another car because Murphy was becoming really hard to, it's an 11-seater size van. It's just getting harder to park in town and stuff. So I ended up getting another car, and I was really unsure about it. My dad found it for me and was like, oh, I think this is safe and it will be so practical and it's got low Ks and blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, cool, Dad, pick it up. And it's a wanky BMW. So I was like, cool, now I just feel like a wanker. Anyway, it's quite funny this, because when I drive the BMW, what do you think happens? Drive the BMW at on the speed limit or 5 to 10 Ks over the speed limit. What do you think happens? I get tailgated so badly. And twice this week, 2 men have passed me on separate days and done the wank sign at me.
What?
Yes, the wanking sign at me. So that's what happens. It's like, you don't know me, but if I turn up in a shitty old van, is one thing, and I turn up in a BMW, that's another thing. Same person, totally different experiences.
That's
interesting.
Hilarious.
It's annoying.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for the 14-month subby, Benny. Just saw that now. Super appreciate that.
Yeah, Benny.
That is annoying. I don't like, it's interesting. Yeah, I just feel like, maybe because the suburb that we live in as well, basically it's entirely like Land Rover. Like, so many people have the same car as us in our suburb. It's quite ridiculous. Like, we just see the same car all the time.
Land Rovers is so good.
Suburb of like soccer mum cars, which was quite funny. And also it's a very quiet
You're far from
suburb.
a soccer mom.
I know, but it's, my friends do give me shit about my soccer mum car, which I love, by the way. It's so roomy and awesome. But yeah, don't seem to get as much
banking sign
aggression. I don't know, because it's such a big car, Benny just said Benny just said, love the podcast, listen to a few of them. Basically a lot of stuff I've found I've gone through, people are just saying just chill, it's all good. That's true. That is true.
Yes.
And Ash said, it's been so great hearing all the walks of life with different people's lives. Definitely helped me in a lot of terms, thinking about my own career. That's awesome feedback, guys. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's yes. Just wanted to read that out before I forgot.
Those are really, really awesome pieces of feedback. And one of the things Ash, you saying that, thinking about your career and things like that, one of the things I'm really learning is that you don't have to stick to one label, you don't have to be one thing. And I feel like that people often will say to you, like, you can only you just have to double down on this one thing. Sure,
you have to focus on one thing.
Yeah, and it's like, it's not that easy to juggle things. Like, it is hard, it can be high pressure. But sometimes if you don't kind of diversify your, what you're doing and exploring, where you're taking your different skills and talents, you might not find that ikigai, like that meaning for life, that center of like your purpose.
That's true, especially at the start when you're like not sure. Like, it's good to just be like, maybe have a few fingers in a few different pies. The one thing I'll say though is, I've definitely seen some people spread themselves too thin.
Yeah.
Because I do think if you focus on one or two, maybe, let's say, like, you're just going to get so much better at those things rather than trying to be a jack of all trades. So it's kind of like finding the balance between that as well, because that's one, I definitely see people that are trying to do too much stuff.
Yeah. And I'm definitely probably one of those people. But also at the same time, you kind of need to know when to, like, put the tools down, have a rest, have a reset, hang up the boots for certain things, and not trying to necessarily hang on to something too tight if it's not actually working, or I don't know. Like, I have decided to not put as much pressure on myself musically at the moment. Just over the last few weeks, I'm like, okay, cool. You don't have to force all of this stuff right now because you're doing other stuff with the podcast, with the businesses and stuff like that.
That's such a good point. Like, not forcing it too.
Yeah.
That's really important. It's tricky at the moment because things are still so weird here, and in New Zealand, obviously. It's a really, like, the other day I decided, a friend of mine had just learned, she's just been learning a bunch of languages, and she sent me this amazing PDF of how to learn languages really quickly. And I've always wanted to learn Italian, which is like my family's language. I've never been able to learn it as an adult, which has been really annoying to me. And I started kind of doing, and I could just see it just was the wrong time. I'm like, I've got the tools, but right now I don't have the mental space. I've got too much going on, and just, okay, there's going to be another time hopefully that I can pick this up, but it's not right now. Ash just said, when do you notice you're forcing it, Tama? Do you have signs? That's a great question, Ash. It's when it becomes less fun and it starts to feel more like a chore. There's a difference between 100%. Working hard and working hard and working hard and really not enjoying it, and potentially overanalyzing every single thing that you're doing. Maybe you might notice that you're like you're second guessing things, or and sometimes it's just, hey man, I might be completely, my well could be completely dry of inspiration at the moment. So I'm going to be kind to myself and not force that. And like lots of people say, nah, you got to push through that stuff, which there's a time and a place for that. It kind of also depends on what you really want at that point in time. You have to ask yourself, do I really want this, and it's just hard but I really want it, or am I doing this because I feel like if I don't do it, shit's gonna hit the fan and things won't happen for me? Like, it's kind of asking, what's driving this? Is it me feeling like I'm gonna fail, or is it me going, I really want this and I know I can make it happen, but it's just really hard. That's actually a really good point, because like there's moments, especially when you're starting out or you're transitioning into full-time stuff, that you absolutely need to put so much effort in, and you do need to push through those dips in, motivation or whatever. And then there's times where it's just like becomes complete burnout and you're not being productive, and it becomes not fun. Like, it should always, especially with creative stuff, there should always be an element of you enjoying what you do, I think.
Yeah. And with every endeavor, there's always going to be the shit jobs that you don't like, that come part and parcel, that you just have to do as a result. But if overall you're like, this is amazing, I'm enjoying what I'm doing here, it's meaningful, then you take those crappy jobs that come on the side, like the administrative side or the whatever parts.
They're part and parcel. They're definitely part and parcel of it. The shit.
Yeah, for sure. So some of the highlights from our first season. Well, first of all, definitely a highlight for you was your cronuts, your $70 cronuts that I said to you earlier on. I keep thinking about them. I didn't even get to try those, and I keep thinking about the photo you sent me.
Okay, so when you come back to Melbourne, because now we sent you the article the other day about the border opening soon, and if you come from New Zealand, you can quarantine at home for 7 days and all that sort of stuff. So it means you have to come back to visit, which means we'll go after you've quarantined. We'll go and get some cronuts together, and we'll put it on our story and show everybody.
Yes, and then we'll go down to our new co-working space and record from our Wellbeing Studios and eat the cronuts in there.
Yes. 100% that is happening. Yeah,
that's going to be good. And we will probably have some live events in Torquay at some point in time, so whoever's kicking around that place in the new year, far out, there's going to be some stuff happening, which is very exciting. So another highlight that we were talking about before was, well, for us, I think one of the podcasts that made me literally well up was Cherie. Like, it was just such a, Cherie Louise, you're such a legend. It was such a just a really
my bestie right there.
And kind of insightful and just a really warm episode. And
there's so much insight in there, I think, to a person that's living with a disability, but it doesn't, like, it's such a big part of her life, but it's also not something that just defines her, if that makes sense. And she's such a big advocate in that space. And I mean, I've known her for so long, so a lot of the stories that she was telling, I've either been witness to them or I've heard them before, but that whole thing of being, inspiration porn, where people will look at her and she's just doing her daily tasks, and people are like, oh my God, you're so inspiring. You're doing the shopping right now. And she's just like, I'm just doing the fucking groceries, like that sort of stuff. It's really good for people to be aware of if you see a disabled person. And the other thing that's really, I thought was really impactful too, was how many people ask her about her, how did you lose your leg? And she's like, people are asking me to live pretty much the worst day of my life. They don't know me, they're just asking me to relive that, to tell them the story because of their curiosity. I think that's really, something that everyone can take into account. If you see someone and you're really curious about what happened, maybe think about the impact that would have by you asking. I'm talking about strangers, obviously not friends who share a relationship, but just someone on the street, just going up to them and going, oh my God, what happened to you, or whatever, having a little bit of empathy that might not be something that they want to tell you in that moment.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's sometimes people don't mind talking about it, but it's if it's all the time, it's kind of it would be imagine being a doctor and your friends are all like, oh, can you check this spot? Or, hey, I've got this problem in my ear, can you even look? Or
imagine being a photographer and someone saying, can you come and take photos at this shit event that it's my christening of my child? Some shit. Absolutely not. No, it's not really comparable to that, but I just thought I'd throw that in. It's actually way worse than that. I'm so sorry to give that analogy.
It's so funny though. But the inspirational porn as well, on the other flip side of it, what I thought was interesting is that she gets another angle at, thrown her way, which is, if you can do it, I can. That's the other thing of hey, the person with a disability, it's almost flipped inspirational porn on themselves, using her as a example of, I don't have any confidence, but if I can see someone with an amputation, that I can then do it. It's that's also shitty.
The other thing that people say to her is, I could never like live like this? And she's just like, of course you could. Like, what do you mean? You just do. That's how
you just do it.
It works. Yeah. But it's like kind of saying, I'm so glad that I'm not you. Do you know what I mean? Like that really weird. Yeah. Like, God, that's such a shit thing to say to somebody, you know? Like,
yeah. And like, so, you know, kind of like almost assuming her quality of life is lesser.
Yeah, which it absolutely isn't. If you know Cherie, it absolutely isn't. And if you're listening and you haven't heard that episode with Cherie Louise, definitely highly recommend listening. I also did a Twitch interview with her a little while ago, which is also really great. And if you wanted to hear more from her as well, so
she's awesome. And our girl Ellen Portis, she was our number one.
She was our first interview.
Yes.
Gosh, she was so great.
I know, she's so cool. And she, obviously, one of the biggest risks in her career was to take on that big studio that she's got in Collingwood, which we spoke about. So, you know, her partner and her decided to double down and take that big commercial property on as a risk in her career, and it's paid dividends. Interestingly enough, she's just gone and found themselves another awesome spot.
I saw that. So they've moved. I did see that just the other day. So
yes,
that's cool.
Which is interesting. So she's obviously going into another phase of like, you know, wherever the business is taking her next. But that was an interesting one. And who else? We had Rich last week, and I have had so many
feedback, so much
amazing
feedback on that one. I think I probably got the most messages about that, and which is cool because I adore Rich. He's such an interesting human that I've connected with, even though I've known him for a little while. We've really connected recently over stuff that we kind of we feel the same with. I think the biggest thing I really bonded with him about is just being allergic to a lot of the pile-on stuff that we see. You know, I don't like using the word cancel culture because I just think it's been misused so much, and it's not appropriate for all situations. But it's really interesting. Every day there's something new, and it's so, even if the person's been really, really shit, I'm just so allergic to it at the moment. I'm just like, and like the kicking when someone's down, and it's just like pile on after pile, and just becomes bullying. And I'm just like, it doesn't even matter if you feel like you're on the right side. And some of the things are just so, like the pile on is so, like, it doesn't equal what the person or whatever has done often. It's like kind of wild.
It's interesting.
Someone just said, Kid Kill just said, were you talking about a new music studio in Collingwood? No, we're talking about an art studio of one of our podcast guests. She's just actually moved from... Yes. She moved to another one in Collingwood? I'm not sure.
No, she's actually gone over Brunswick Way, I believe. Cool. But it's more of a watch the space. I think that they're moving into their next phase of whatever her next endeavours are in her career. And then her partner has... does all sorts of amazing indoor plants and stuff like that too, like design and stuff. I don't know. The one of the things I wanted to say with the pile on stuff, it was interesting. I listened to a podcast this week by a social epidemiologist called Richard Wilkinson, and he speaks about the feeling of being exposed socially and being seen negatively in front of the other. Hugely detrimental.
Actually, Rich interviewed someone on his podcast about this as well. It's really, if anyone isn't aware of this stuff, really look into it, especially if you're someone that jumps in on pile-ons, like just to understand the impact of this stuff.
The other thing is his research that he's done a lot of it. Basically he's saying that there's a huge link between inequality and anxiety. So when people are in social constructs, teams, societies, communities that have severe inequality happening inside it, that it leads to mental health issues like tenfold. So anxiety, depression, and it's much higher in those more dogmatic environments, like where domination, superiority, and inferiority are at the forefront, so it's a really interesting thing. So if you're thinking about in a collaborative environment or a society or a group or whatever that you're in, and you're going, why do I feel insuperior in this part, or like, why do I feel anxious when I'm getting involved in here? It's an interesting thought to have a look at what is going on in terms of the inequality in this community that I'm in, or this
or even do I feel comfortable within my friendship group to speak what my truth is? And like, that's what's really tricky at the moment. I think we're so polarized that people will just outcast anyone that has a different thought on any kind of topic, and it's really damaging, not only for the people that are getting outcast, but just to have this echo chamber of people that just agree with you. And I've spoken about this a million times. My Twitch community know this because I always talk about this, but be friends with people that disagree. It's so healthy. It's really, really important, and it helps you firm up your own views, your own viewpoints, to really get an understanding of why you believe that and that it is the right thing for you. Get challenged, feel uncomfortable, sit with discomfort. It's so, so, so important. And to have just people around you that that agree with you all the time is just hugely, I think, I just think it's really, really troubling to see that people are getting into these little echo chambers of people that just agree with it. And they're so, like, anytime someone challenges them, it's like the worst thing in the world. And it's totally fine to disagree with people, and people that you love. That's okay. Especially people that you love, because you can know that you're coming from a place of love. And you can disagree. So you know that your intention is always, like, don't see the worst in someone's intention all of the time.
Yeah, but
which
being
is what
able
we
to
spoke
have
about with Rich about a lot, to bring it back to the topic.
being able to speak, your side of things, but also being able to feel safe and having those conversations without.
Yes. And that's what's happening at the moment. People don't feel safe,
No, people aren't feeling safe, so people are sitting on the fence. People are becoming a bit afraid to have, So, and which is another it's another interesting thing, because there's been some things around people. If you're silent, it means that you're going along with it, but it's people are literally feeling anxiety around. If I say something, it's going to be the wrong thing either way, so I'm just going to keep quiet. And that's just because there's just an influx of this kind of stuff going on at the moment. So I really liked just the work that Rich is doing, the impact that he's having on educational pieces of work that he's doing, going into schools, and just kind of setting the bar in terms of expectations around how people should be viewing or experiencing porn and stuff these days as well. If you haven't heard the conversation with Rich, it's so insightful, because he actually works with a lot of young men, so he sees the impact of a lot of things on the young people that he's working with. So he really is speaking from a place of real knowledge in terms of the impact that the porn industry has, the impact in even things like, we spoke about this, didn't we, Tam, in that, Instagram and the fourth wave of the feminist movement is very much about women and owning their own sexuality and expressing that. But the flip side of that can mean that men feel like they can objectify women, and there's a discussion to be had in that, but how do we combat that? Which it really, really, so if you haven't heard the conversation, because Richie's so articulate and he really does it way more justice. He schooled me. I was like,
your mouth, you were like this,
He's so smart, that I was
so
like,
smart.
oh gosh.
He really is.
I don't know, I got tongue-tied. Anyway, he's very cool. We did get some feedback. One of the messages that I got was that he, this person that had a listen of that podcast, said that they'd just had a root canal, and that the pain from the root canal completely dispersed while they were listening to the episode. because they were so engrossed in it. So well done.
I got this message too. I'm loving the convo with Richie right now. I love your perspective of seeing the human in people and coming from a place of empathy. That's really the place that I'm coming from in all of these conversations, is just to see the humanity in people and not demonize and not other, I guess. What up, Magic? Nice to see you in the chat. Yeah, I'm just really big on this at the moment because there's so much polarization, and I just really want to bring it back to we're all human beings. We have perspectives because of different reasons, because of different life experiences. So
yeah, exactly. Moving on from that one, we had our you know, is it too late to chase your dreams? And we say
yes.
No,
it's not.
And it's not too late. And actually feedback from two different people on separate occasions saying that they quit their boring, shitty day jobs to chase their dreams, which is pretty cool.
Yes,
and so we're still in touch with these people and seeing how they're going, and that they felt immediate kind of like, I don't know, like an immediate relief that they were doing the right thing, and that they said that the podcast encouraged them to take that leap. So that's huge. Like, that's all that we want. We just want you to feel like you're not alone, that that's what we're saying, what we do, we're living it too. We're not trying to say that everything's like killing it all the time. You're killing it, but we just want to express that, you know, those things that you're wondering, we go through and do it as well. So
exactly, yeah, we go through all of those things and have for the last however long, and it's totally normal. I mean, that's what this podcast is about. Is really about, you know, two people that work in different aspects of the music industry and creative industry and freelancing and all of the, and, you know, in the business space, and just giving people the tools to navigate through what the weirdness is, I guess.
Yeah. And we've had some amazing ones. We've had, you know, like Erica and Poppy, Ollie,
Poppy was great.
Jay.
Ollie was awesome, yeah.
Oh,
some awesome guests. And also, Jay. We had Jay on as well. That was such a great chat.
Jay's just about to release music, so that's cool as well. And actually, Jay's the Olympic guide runner, and he runs for Team USA, for those of you that haven't heard. So he represents the US for the Paralympians over there. And he predominantly runs with visually impaired people. So he is their guide runner. So he has to kind of be, you know, a lot faster than them. And he also has to yell commands.
But him explaining what a guide runner was so cool. Like, he runs with the visually impaired person.
Yes.
I was like, I didn't even know a guide runner was a thing. Like, it just...
So
and then I saw them at the Olympics after we spoke to him. So that was really cool.
Yes. And he's just been given a new person that he's working with to help try and get the Paralympics. And so that's really exciting. So he's got that new person that they're training really hard at the moment. But then, also just released one song with one band that he's in, which he's the singer-songwriter in, and the other one he's the drummer in. He's hustling over there in California. Talented. Speaking of California,
we have spoken about this a little bit off.
Oh, Bedrock Bam is still over there too, our other guest.
He is. Oh, Joel's over there. But we wanna try and go over there, don't we, at some point?
Yes.
Early next year.
Yes.
That's the plan. We can be doing podcasts from LA.
Birthday babies.
Yes.
Aren't we? So we're going for our birthdays.
We're definitely going to be there in February. That's the plan. We're just looking into how to do that at the moment. But that's exciting. It's given us something to look forward to while I'm still in this hard lockdown. But planning on doing some fun stuff next year. So that'll be good.
Yep. And hopefully Joel's over there coming and going as well, Mish.
Yes, I mean, there's so many people that are talking about, Cherie's talking about potentially going over. My other friend Tom I spoke to the other day. Like, there's a lot of people that are speaking about being over there next year. So I think we should just get a massive house that we all just live in and people can just come and go.
I'm down. That's happening. I'm so keen for that.
I think that would be amazing. So, yeah.
What a hoot. Well, we have had such a awesome season 1. We gave some prizes away again. Shout out to our friends at Riot House and OGN Records, Annie and Zach. We love you. Shout out to all of our amazing people who provided gifts for us for the giveaways, for the Ripper Ride, Spook Coops, Sheep Society. Yeah. And we've loved the season 1, and we're going to be wrapping that up, and we will be back with season 2. So
thank you to all the listeners, and thank you to everybody that's followed us on Instagram, that's been sending us messages, that all of the people, like it keeps us wanting to do this podcast. We've really enjoyed it. What up, Dat Thing? Nice to see you in here. Yeah, it's been really awesome. So we hope we're going to do a season 2. We're not sure. We're just going to have a couple of weeks off or something, and then we're going to start. We're in planning mode. We're planning mode. Season 2 is even as awesome.
Yes, exactly. All right, everyone. Well, I have got somebody needing my space, so we are out. But thank you so much, everyone.
Thank
we love
you, everybody.
We will
Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Yes, and we will see you in season 2.
Yes. Okay. And everyone in my chat, nice to see you here, and we'll see you on Sunday. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Recording stopped.
Okay, someone.
Do you have to go? I'll start my stream as well.
Sorry.